Morning guys, how are we doing? Hope you're good. Friday vibes, ready to go into it. So listen, please do like and share for me. Please do make sure you comment in the feed. Let me know what you think. It's important to get this message out there. Trying to get the word spread to try and help men improve. So please do me a favour and share this. And if you're on the podcast, please do leave a review. Tell somebody about the podcast and spread the word. Right. So I hope you're all well. Before we get started, you've got 1 week left to sign up for Train Like a Marine. We finished, it closes next Friday. So if you want to come down and train with me for an experience that is designed to get you out of your comfort zone and show you exactly what you're capable of, then come down and see me. It'd be an amazing experience. The price includes all of the accommodation. So, it's going to be good. It's going to be an action-packed weekend. It's not even a full weekend, to be honest, guys. You'll be home and in bed recovering Saturday night. So listen, the mask, the poker face that you're all wearing, you know that most of you are walking around with it. I know that I did. I know I still do. And what I mean by wearing a mask is that we are not showing a true reflection of who we actually are. So what we're doing is we are masking a lot of the stuff that's going on inside, but you are hiding it well by putting on a good poker face. Okay. So I remember when I used to be like this. So I would have a kind of a Hulk type of personality, you know, the split personality where there's David Banner and the Hulk and you can't quite decide what personality they're going to be. So like the Hulk, when he's angry, he would just rage and he would break out, okay, and he would show all of his true colours, okay, and I think that's true to the way that I was. I would just explode, I wouldn't really think about things, and then that would affect what people thought about me. I would end up regretting a lot of the stuff that I said or the actions that I took. And no one ever really got to see the David Banner of me, you know, the true version of me and who James Baldwin was. You know, I never communicated that very well. And, you know, low self-esteem, anger, frustration and depression will continue to go on when you continue to hide and bottle up everything that you're going through, okay? All of the demands of life, all of the emotions that you're going through. You know, for example, if you go to a pub and there's 4 of you and you're all talking about life, okay, how often do you ever talk about some of the problems that you're going through and struggling with? How often do any of the other guys do that as well? Like, you might know full well that some of the guys are going through it, but they don't talk about it. You might be going through it, but you don't talk about it. You just put on this brave face and you're like, yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Yeah, that's right, yeah. You never drinking. And you're just like, fucking hell. So the whole culture of men and dads never being able to communicate about how they truly feel is monumental because our poker faces are so fucking good. Now, when I struggle with self-esteem, none of you guys would ever know any different. If I was struggling with some anxieties, you guys wouldn't know any different because my poker face is really good. To the outside world and to everyone that looks out and in at me, they will think, oh, he's got his shit together, it's fucking squared away, like planning, structure. Do you know what I mean? And to a large, to a large extent, I do much more than I used to. But there are still elements of self-doubt. There are still elements of low confidence. There are still elements when I have to battle to come in front of the camera. And I quite happily share that. And, you know, I don't know really what triggers it. I do and I don't. But things just end up building up sometimes. But I'm much better at communicating that now. You know, I quite happily tell people that I'm struggling with self-doubt or I'm struggling with confidence, you know, because hopefully that will inspire someone else to go and talk about it. And I think that's what's really important, is that we can't always play the poker face, because when we do the poker face, we actually convince ourselves of being this other person. this person that you might not really be. And when you keep pretending to be somebody that you're not, or when you keep pretending to have this personality where you're strong and motivated for life and you're inspired, but actually deep down you're really struggling, people would never catch on to it and you'll never improve. So you must really raise your self-awareness about actually how this is going to affect everybody else. Okay, eventually, because eventually you're going to turn into that Hulk. Eventually everything's going to build up. And remember what I talked about earlier in the week, the volcano, it all brewing up, and then exploding. That's what's going to happen. If you keep wearing masks, if you keep hiding and playing your poker face, you're never really going to truly communicate everything that you're going through. And let's think about the long game. The long game is body transformation and mental well-being. Okay, that's what I'm always getting to, because that's what we're trying to achieve, right? We're trying to achieve better bodies with better mindsets. I like that. Better bodies, better mindsets. I'm going to write that down as a slogan. But we can't ever get to that point if we're always wearing a mask, if we're always playing poker face, because you can never truly be yourself. So you can never really communicate what's going on. And because your mental well-being is being affected, and because your confidence and self-esteem will be knocked inside, maybe not on your poker face and your mask, but inside, you never truly want to work out. You're secretly binge eating, you're secretly drinking to cope with all of the stuff that you're going through. And when you start eating and you start drinking, you're consuming too many calories, which then lead on to other bad habits, maybe gambling, maybe drugs. I don't know. The variable is different for everyone. You're going down that road, so you're not doing very well nutritionally, and then your head's not really in a game to work out. You're not really waking up early. But this is all underlying. This is all inside. This is all inside your brain, really. But to everyone else, it seems like you've got everything, all your shit together. It seems like you're in control. I'm a man in control. You would never know that there was anything wrong with me or in that particular person, just talking in general. I would say 90% of the time I'm good, and then I would have my 10% of a fucking nightmare, honestly. And that nightmare consists of massive self-doubt. I think the biggest thing for me is self-doubt. That's the biggest thing that I deal with when it comes to my personality. It's huge self-doubt, and sometimes I even lie to myself. So sometimes you can convince your own self that there's nothing wrong, and that is a big no-no. Convincing yourself that there is nothing wrong. You then think, oh, there's nothing wrong. Self-doubt isn't an issue. So you don't deal with it. And actually, yesterday, I really dealt with it. I spent an hour dealing with it, writing all down. I did like a mind map. And writing stuff down is good. Get a piece of paper, and I wrote in the middle, self-doubt. What things do I self-doubt myself on? And I started doing a spiral mind map, and it was huge. And there were things, and as I was flowing, it was like a brain dump. So like every Friday, I would talk about doing a brain dump. This was a mind map dump. And I was just thinking more about different subjects that were affecting my self-doubt, and it was just out. And all of a sudden, it was like taking the mask off and being myself. And then I was able to look at all of this information on this piece of paper and go, wow, I haven't thought about some of these things before. Self-doubt as a partner, not being good enough for my partner, thinking my partner's like 10 years younger. So naturally, I'm like cautious that I'm 10 years older, and having that self-doubt that whether I'm good enough for her, having the self-doubt that is general, having the self-doubt whether I'm good enough to make the dad coach work, to self-doubt as whether my podcasts are good enough, self-doubt whether my book or my planner is any good, self-doubt as whether the Brotherhood's any good. These are constant battles, constant battles that I have. Having self-doubt whether I'm good enough to run my 100-miler in 24 hours. Having self-doubt whether I can keep making my training sessions. Having self-doubt, blah, blah, blah. There are so many I'm looking at it. There are so many things that I'm going through, and all micro self-doubts. Lots of little micro, I talk about small wins, and we build up those small wins and they become big wins, right? Lots of micro self-habits, they become a big self-habit. Unconsciously, if you are constantly thinking that you are underneath everything, that you are not good enough, that you're not good enough for your partner, or you're not good enough to run some business, or your podcasts are not good enough, guess what you start thinking every single time? When the unconscious comes to the conscious mind, you end up start thinking to yourself, fuck, this shit isn't good. This shit isn't like, I'm not good enough to be with my partner. I'm not a good enough dad. So in your mind, when you do that and you convince that and you talking to yourself, because we always talk to ourselves in our brain, right? We're going through all of the thoughts that I was saying. Love you, Varney. Thank you, bro. You convince yourself that you're not good enough for something, or you convince yourself that you can't change. You convince yourself you can't stop drinking. You convince yourself that you can't do exercise anymore. And you convince yourself you can't get up an hour earlier. So you can see, when we're trying to reach the end game of the body transformation and the mental well-being, see how these small, like, self-doubts, the mask, the Hulk effect is stopping you reach that. That's your barrier. So a task for you to finish this podcast is to go away, think about the things that you are hiding within your masks, and over the weekend, do a mind map of one particular thing that you're struggling with. So if it's confidence in the middle of the paper, and then do a mind map. Why am I not confident? Let it flow. You need to do this alone. You need to put 10 minutes, 15 minutes of your time doing this alone, away from everyone. And talk to your partner. If you're struggling with something, talk to your partner, your best mate, your friends, your mum, your dad, whatever. 2 tasks over the weekend to slowly lift the mask and be honest. Listen, I hope that helps. If you like that, please do like, please do share, please do comment. Don't just sit there watching me, you perverts. Talk to me. That's what I'm here for. We're here to communicate. If you're on a podcast, please do share. Love you guys. Have an amazing weekend. Get yourself and train like a Marine. Come down here and meet me. Come down here and train with me. It's going to be the best thing that you ever do. I fucking promise you. It's going to take you from here to here. 110%. I'll probably be on live over the weekend at some point, but the JB Morning Show will be back on Monday morning, ready to go.